And so I was like, this is the school for me. And I was there for 13 years, and I wore a uniform plaid skirt that was straight out of Gossip Girl. By the way, Gossip Girl was being filmed also during that time, as was NYC Prep, and they were filming in the apartment building, Blair's apartment next door to where I grew up. So my friends and I would all go over after school to talk to Ed Westwick and all the different cast members, because I wanted to know what it was like to really be one of these prep school kids. So we used to help them. They took pictures with us in return. It was this very weird sort of after school moment. But yes, there was a lot of pressure to get into one of these private schools, and it's a whole other world.
I have Gossip Girl on my list to talk about. So thank you for bringing that up. So, I mean, like in your case, were your parents like, okay, you can choose, like, let's go to see 5 schools and pick the one you like?
Yeah, my mom was very much like that. But I think in this case, when you're applying to these schools, it's really not your choice. It is the school's choice at the end of the day. It just so happened that I really loved the school Hewitt, and they liked me back. Chapin, which I made a huge scene at 5 years old when I was screaming and crying and saying, get me out of here. They kept calling my parents back, bring her back in. We loved her. I'm like, there's no way they liked me. I was like yelling and like nauseous the whole time. There's no way I made a good impression. My mother always said, you will end up at the place that's right for you. I think my father had ideas in his head that certain names were the best. But at the end of the day, the woman is the neck, the man is the head, and the woman can change the neck, the head, any way they want.
This is true. But I would imagine a lot of kids like can't really, like, do a lot of parents not give a children a choice? Like, I would assume they would just be like, you're going to Chapin or whatever the best school is, and you're 5.
Definitely. I think also like a lot of those kids who end up at adult stand-up, really, many of them are part of families who have been in New York City this whole time. I'm not one of those kids. My mom was born in Pittsburgh. My dad, was born in the Bronx. They both made lives for themselves, were self-starters in New York City. So I wasn't born into anything that would have helped. You know what I mean? So it was a little different.
And that's a real thing, right? Like if you're 5th generation, whatever your last name is.
Yeah, legacy kids.
Interesting. So, right. So 2009, we have Bravo TV exists, and they come up with the show New York City Prep. Like, it was a different time of Bravo. Like, I feel like they had like the show centered around actual businesses like Millionaire Matchmaker, Workout, Blowout with Jonathan Anton. And then, I don't know, I lump Gallery Girls, New York City Prep, and Princesses of Long Island all in the same category. Like these 3 shows that lasted for 1 season, which we'll get into.
1 season too short.
1 season too short. So, but right, I mean, it was based on Gossip Girl. Like it was, listen, we have the Housewives because of Desperate Housewives and the OC with Nisha Barton.
True.
We have New York City Prep because of Gossip Girl. So I was going to talk about Gossip Girl. So talk to me. So what? They were filming the apartment. Blair Waldorf's was next door, and like they actually wanted to talk to you for like research.
They did. They just wanted to know and where we went to school and what it was like and how we thought about the uniforms. And, that show was very much filmed in our neighborhood. So I think that's why Gossip Girl did work out so well, because it was so real. Like the places, sitting on the steps of the Met, my AP Art history class, we went to the Met, every single week for class, going to San Ambrose. That was such a real life indication of the places we went to. The drama, not necessarily. I never had that crazy of a high school experience, but the places and how we dressed, that was all very accurate.
Did you watch Gossip Girl?
Watched it religiously. I'm so excited for the reboot. I mean, honestly, but PC from NYC Prep really was like the Ed Westwick character growing up.
I could see that.
Yeah, and PC did really have that like vibe about him, that every girl sort of wanted to know him or wanted to know about him. He had that. And I think that, the Ed Westwick character very much relied heavily on that kind of a.
And like, did like Leighton Meester, like, I mean, that would Blake Lively too, like they would come and say like,
Not as much them. It was more the boys, like Chase Crawford, Ed Westwick. But we saw the girls when we would see them. They were really always outside of our neighborhood every day for like years. The show was on for what, 6 years?